And welcome to the last one out, Get the Lights panel at VICA's 23rd Annual Business Forecast Conference. My name is Kevin Tamaki. I'm with AT&T. I do public affairs for AT&T. And it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator this morning. And AT&T, we're a proud sponsor of this panel, along with the Boeing Company. I'd also like to thank our track sponsor today, Providence Health and Services. Yeah, you can applaud. At your seat is an exit panel survey, and I encourage you to fill it out at the end of this session and return it to the staff at the back of the room, because we really need your feedback. VICA needs your feedback so they can make the conference even better next year. It's my pleasure to introduce someone from the state legislature who essentially is helping to make government work better for business. Either he does that or he helps government get out of the way, which is really good for business and really good for creating jobs, which we all need to have. So please help me in welcoming State Senator Tony Strickland.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to this panel. The theme for this panel is last one out, get the lights. We have a great panel lined up. But first, let's thank Boeing Company and AT&T for being sponsors of this panel. Let's give them a round of applause. I would also add to thank the Providence Health and Services for sponsoring this track. The biographies of each of these panelists are already in your journal, so I'm going to make these introductions very brief so we have more time for your questions. In this panel, we have Don Alcock, who's Vice President of Operations at REM Eyewear. Let's give him a round of applause. Don. We have Austin Butner, who's the former first Deputy Mayor of Los Angeles in the city of Los Angeles, and he's also a mayoral candidate. Let's give him a round of applause, Austin. And then we have James Thompson, who's mayor of Sugar Land, Texas. The thing to understand about Texas, in 2008, 52% of all new jobs created in the United States were created in Texas. Let's give him a round of applause. Thanks for coming out. I'm going to ask each of the panelists to briefly discuss what's good, what's bad, and what's ugly about doing business here in California, and why businesses should stay or why they should go. And we're going to give each one of the panelists about a 2 to 3 minute opening introduction and moving forward. With that, let's see who's going to go first. Well, Austin, you're a businessman and the first deputy mayor of Los Angeles. You were able to bring business to Los Angeles. How will you replicate that, and how can we replicate that throughout the state of California?
Sure. Thank you, and thank you for everybody taking the time. Thank you, Tony. There's a magazine called Chief Executive Magazine. For those of you who haven't read it, grab a copy, put it next to your bedside table. It will help you go to sleep. But before you go to sleep, read their annual survey of rankings of states, where it's good to do business, where it's bad to do business, where it's easy to do business, where it's hard to do business. You'll see that many years running, California has come in last place. Dead last, not even 49th. We can't point to somebody else. Now, when you ask a chief executive about California, they're thinking Los Angeles. They're not thinking Vallejo. We've got a problem. Perception and reality in this particular instance are very closely aligned. We don't make it easy for employers to put people to work in Los Angeles. In order to put people to work in Los Angeles, I think we've got to do two things. One is we have to turn government back to working for the needs of its constituents. Real simple. I spent most of my life in the private sector. We had something called clients, customers. We either served their needs or they went somewhere else. It's sort of that simple. We raised our game to serve their needs to try to keep them satisfied as customers, and government needs to do just that. Cut rules, cut regulations, make it work for employers. That's part of the picture. The other part of the picture, equally important, is we need to make sure the jobs in Los Angeles are those jobs of the future. And in order to do that, we're going to have to bring all of us back to the same table. Business and labor, folks from South Los Angeles together with folks in the Valley. Faith-based communities, academics, all working together with our neighborhoods to say, how do we take what is good about Los Angeles and make it work for private sector employers? How can we win? We're more diverse than any big city in this country. In the 21st century, that's an enormous asset. Any great city will be diverse. We are. We have colleges and universities second to none. 3 of the top 10 research institutions, 3 of the top 10 engineering schools. It's a tremendous asset. We're the only big city in this country which owns a port, an airport, and a utility. We're the window to Asia and Latin America, and that's a winning hand. If we come back, we start working together, we roll up our sleeves, and we work on what's important, which is to enable the private sector to put people back to work in Los Angeles.
Thanks, Austin. Next, we have Mayor Thompson from Sugar Land, Texas. Mayor, it seems that it's been very easy as of late to grab businesses from California and bring them to Texas. What makes Texas, and specifically Sugar Land, so much more business-friendly than California?
Senator, thank you very much. The question, you know, and when you talk about Sugar Land, I think you need to talk in context of the state of Texas. The state of Texas has always just ranked recently, as Austin mentioned, as the #1 state for doing business. And since 2009, we've created over 37% of all jobs in America. You talk about the economy, it's almost 8.3% of the U.S. economy. Now you get into some of the real the benefits. It's probably the lowest cost of living in the United States. 5 cities are in the top 10 of the lowest cost of living to live. And a lot of that is because of our land value. We have strong performing metro areas, and one of the things that I'm particularly proud of as a state is we have a balanced budget every year, and we have no personal income tax. And that's something that we take very critical. Those that start treading on those 2 subjects are immediately they don't do very well in the political environment, let's put it that way. So Sugar Land itself, we're a suburb of Houston. We're about 25 miles southwest of Houston. We started out as a company town. It's kind of got an interesting history. The Sugar Land started out as the Imperial Sugar Company. The city itself is only 50 years old. We just celebrated our 50th anniversary. But going back to the turn of the early century, the 1800s, just a brief history, as Texas was developing, they started building a prison system. One of the first prisons was built in the Sugar Land area, so a family that owned a 24,000-acre plantation went to the state. He sold half of that plantation to the state, over 12,000 acres, with one caveat that he could use the prison labor to farm all of his sugar cane. So we're always proud of the fact that we were one of the first public-private partnerships in the state of Texas. So we still have that philosophy today. So we have a very highly educated workforce in our city. Over 55% of the people who live in Sugar Land have a bachelor's degree or higher. You start looking at this particular crowd and you think, well, that statistic, what does that mean? The average in the United States is only 37%. So we have a very highly educated workforce. Low unemployment. And one of the things I'm very proud of, and one of the things that we tout continuously, is our airport. We have our own airport, as you mentioned, of course, a major city. I worked on that facility for many years, created some funding, and we have been ranked the #1 FBO, which means a reliever airport, not your major like Los Angeles and Houston and Dallas, but the #1 FBO airport in all of the Americas for 2 years in a row. So we really cater to that corporate, that business environment. So,
Thank you, Mayor. Don, REM Eyewear can move anywhere, and I'm sure you're getting approached from a lot of different states, including Texas, to pull up the stakes and leave. But you're committed to staying here in California. And why are you committed, and why do you want to stay? Here.
Well, no one seems to want us outside of California. I don't know why that might be. So we don't get a lot of offers to move away. But, you know, what's good, what's bad, what's ugly? Well, how about this weather today? You couldn't ask for a nicer day in California. But some of the things that I think help us here as a business, our design team takes a lot of inspiration from what they see around Los Angeles. Our product is made in Asia. The design team is here. Between what we see in nature, what we see in terms of architecture, products that are manufactured here, they take a lot of notes and ideas from that, and a lot of that works its way into the design of our eyeglasses. What's not so good? Well, it's expensive to operate a business here in California. Taxes and fees are quite high. And I don't know if anyone in this room has gone through their required harassment training here recently. Our company did. And if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what else will, because as a manager, you have to be very, very careful in this state. What's ugly? I think it's ugly that business owners are basically losing confidence, and they are moving, and they are leaving if they have good reason to do that. Some of the positives that I can point out in terms of speaking for REM is that as a distribution company, it's important for us to be near a